Today I fucked up by slapping my mate on the ass in the middle of a busy supermarket. This happened about an hour ago and I still can't get the look of this poor guy's face out of my head. I, 32M, have been out running some errands this morning and decided to grab a few things from my local, well-known supermarket. A lot of the time I go in there to grab a couple of things. I end up spending 40 minutes in the store because one of my good friends, Jim, not real name, works there. We end up chatting about all sorts and getting a catch up as we don't tend to see one another much in the real world. I've known Jim, M20s, for about 4 years. We both played on the same American football team for a few seasons, and anybody who knows what that setting is like will know that a slap on the ass can mean many things and happens way too often. I'm walking down one of the aisles and standing at a trolley is Jim, with his back to me. Easily recognizable. I can't go wrong. Longish ginger hair. Not too tall and built like a linebacker. Without a second thought and absolutely no hesitation, I walk up, slap his ass and say, "Hey buddy." Time slows down. Everything goes into slow motion. My heart stops. Jim turns around with a confused, astonished yet shocked look on his face. Jim aged by about 20 years since I last saw him, because a mid-40s man turned around, looked me up and down and asked, "Hey, what just happened?" What? I froze. What the fuck do you even say to that? "Well, you're not." Jim came out and then I walked away. You know, that weird quick walk you do that's fast, but isn't quite running. Customers looking at me, watching me walk away whilst turning bright red. I hadn't picked anything up at this point, so I walked straight out of that store. I messaged Jim and asked if he was working today, because I thought I saw him, but didn't have time to stop. Apparently I slapped the ass of a guy called Mark, a new guy who is being dubbed Jim's dad at work because of the resemblance. I didn't tell Jim what happened, but he's bound to find out next time he's at work. If you're gonna slap an ass of a friend, 100% make sure it's your friend. I'm at home, door locked and wanting the world to swallow me up. Too long didn't read, slapped my mate on the ass as a greeting in a supermarket. Wasn't him, accidentally slapped someone else's ass. Imagine the r/I don't work here lady post by this guy. Oh, no, please don't. Hope he doesn't have read it. This happened to my dad once when me and my sisters were kids. He grabbed my sister around the chest and picked her up only to turn his head and see that it was a random little boy. So when does your dad get out of prison? I had a similar experience. Friend worked at a large toy store. I was there one day and as I walk round an aisle I see said friend on his knees stacking the bottom shelf with his back to me, so I immediately run to jump on his back. As I was mid-leap he turned his head and virtually shat himself as he saw what was a random bloke about to jump on him. I startled and managed to twist out of the way. The guy saw the funny side as I explained my fuck up. At least you stayed to explain. My brain just chose the nope option and bailed before I could process what had happened. That was painful to read and I bet even painful to Op who just went through that. Wishing you a swift recovery Op, thank you. It will take some time. If I was Mark, I would have understood what happened just from the "you're not Jim" and would not have been angry at you, especially if I was already being dubbed as Jim's dad. I would probably have felt sorry for you for the shame you must be feeling. It's okay, you can apologize next time you go there. It was an honest mistake. You think I'm going back? Today I fucked up by getting drunk and making my pregnant wife drive to the hospital to give birth. Obligatory. This didn't happen today, but about 5 years ago when my firstborn son came into this world. My wife was 37 weeks pregnant and the obstetrician wanted to start the birthing process early due to excess liquid in the womb. My wife called me at work and asked me wanna have a kid tomorrow. I was so excited I couldn't wait to get home and celebrate with my wife. Over dinner I cracked a nice single malt whiskey and proceeded to have far too many of them, and I guess you can see where this goes. In my head I just had to wake up the next day with a clear head. Ain't no way this baby coming 3 weeks early until I'm ready for it. I remember playing Rocket League in my man cave, completely wasted and nearly a whole bottle gone, when my phone started ringing. I tried to answer it in between goals, and figured out quickly that my wife's water had broken. Fuck me. So I stagger across my lawn and into the house, and there's my wife with no pants and trying to get towels to mop up the mess. I confess that I've had far too many whiskeys, but that I can totally drive. She insists on driving even though I'm about to call the ambulance. And next thing you know we are driving to the hospital, my pregnant and contracting wife in the driver's seat, and drunk me in the passenger seat. When we got there I ushered her inside and managed to drive the car into a parking bay, and pay for the ticket. To this day I don't know how, cause I was a mess. I got into the hospital and found my wife. She was in labor for 10 hours. About half of which I was awake for. Eventually I sobered up around 6 AM and held my wife's hand until 8 AM when my baby boy was born, and it was one of the most today I fucked up moments of my life. Too long didn't read, got drunk before my wife gave birth to my firstborn. My wife drove to the hospital for us and then gave birth. I'm a Askreddit, just so we're clear. I know it was irresponsible to drive anywhere drunk. There is no excuse for it, even if it was around the empty car park at midnight. But what is done, and thankfully no one was hurt for it. And yes, my wife is an amazing woman that puts up with far too much. Thankfully I am not such a burden these days. Thankfully you posted this on r/today I fucked up and not over at r/ita, where they would have ripped you a new one. Dude, I totally considered ita, but I already know the answer, so I didn't need the confirmation. Was the cost of the ambulance the reason for your wife not wanting to call for one? That would have been my reason. Never take a ride in one of those. America. You are so lucky this ended well. You are not wrong. She's a good woman to put up with my shenanigans. I have got my shit together since, which I consider a win. Did my husband write this? He was wasted the night my water broke as well. He went to bed at 1, I woke him up at 2 with my water breaking. Dude had the audacity to ask me what that meant. He is never going to live that down. Today I fucked up, 9 years ago, and acquired a new, generally unacceptable, fetish, NSFW. This happened way back in university with my then ex, who was a conservative type girl who wanted to save herself for marriage, but secretly very adventurous in bed. So it's a very stale today I fucked up, but one that I recall fondly. Anyways, we would do almost everything else except actual penetration to skip the grey line, and at that time, ass eating was just becoming a thing. For the uninitiated, it involves putting your licking bits in close proximity of the area where the sun don't shine. After an inspirational TED talk about the joys of anal by a sexually liberated Japanese girl at a house party, I wanted to try it out. And to my surprise, my then girlfriend agreed. Whoop. We did some butt stuff before, but it was just a finger or two, and I was really excited about it. Cue showtime. After she went in to clean herself, came out, and got into doggy and presented herself. I didn't really know what to do, so I very gently gave the flower a gentle flick of the tongue. Wrong move. People that are ticklish can perform remarkable feats when under tickle threat. In hindsight, a firm and assertive opening move could have changed the course of history. Got a fart blast directly onto my tongue and a horse kick onto my balls at a very serious velocity, then another onto my stomach as I just began to double over in pain as she scrambled desperately away from the source, hitting her head on the bedpost. I slowly recovered from my pain to see her almost in tears, mortified at the outcome of events. I smiled through the pain, and as I came to my senses, I began to realize to my horror that the fart excited me. Too long didn't read, acquired fart fetish from trying to eat ass wrongly. In hindsight, you shouldn't have been in sight of the hind. I feel the sudden urge for mouthwash. Sounds like she was a breath of fresh ass. You might be into some of James Joyce's love letters to his wife. My sweet little whorish Nora, I did as you told me, you dirty little girl, and pulled myself off twice when I read your letter. I am delighted to see that you do like being fucked ass ways. Yes, Now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. It was the dirtiest fucking I ever gave you, darling. My prick was stuck in you for hours, fucking in and out under your upturned rump. I felt your fat sweaty buttocks under my belly and saw your flushed face and mad eyes. Every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger stronger fuck than usual, fat dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an ass full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties ending in a long gush from your hole. It is wonderful to fuck a farting woman when every fuck drives one out of her. I think I would know Nora's fart anywhere. I think I could pick hers out in a room full of farting women. It is a rather girlish noise, not like the wet windy fart which I imagine fat wives have. It is sudden and dry and dirty, like what a bold girl would let off in fun in a school dormitory at night. I hope Nora will let off no end of her farts in my face so that I may know their smell also. That was a crazy read. As I came to my senses, yeah, we know,